everybody, welcome to Teresa's World. I'm still in Derbyshire and today I've got my History of England in 100 Places book out and I am going to take you to a little town. I tend to say Eyam, but I think locally they say Eyam. To summarise, that town got hit by the plague and they basically quarantined themselves so that no one outside of that town was allowed in or out, and therefore they stopped the spread of the plague throughout their local area. I need to say that Teresa's World is not a history channel. This is just a personal project of mine where I am aiming to visit those 100 places in this amazing book, A History of England in 100 Places. Whoa, what a girl. So I've arrived in Eyam. The parking is free near the museum, and I have to say, do you know what? My van is brilliant. She tucks in anywhere. You know, she's not much bigger than a car. So there we go, all parked up and ready to go. Let's have a walk round. So I'm here at the museum and I'm just reading this very interesting fact that the Bubonic Plague is the most dangerous disease known to man. It's said to have killed more people than all wars that have ever been fought, and is still with us, but is now controllable. It's transmitted by fleas, mainly rat fleas. So I've started to buy myself little magnets everywhere I go, so I've just bought one. So this is a plague cottage, and this is where the flea infested cloth arrived. It was George Vickers who received that sack, and he took the cloth out, and I think it was evidently damp, and he put it in front of the fire to dry, and not knowing that it had fleas in it, and those fleas were carrying the plague. And so he was the first plague victim, George Vickers. He died on the 17th of September 1665. It's easy to read these plaques and just go through name, date, name, date, name, date. But when you actually say, okay, well that was mum, that was dad, that was brother, sister, whatever, it really hits you as to just how scary it must have been to live in a town where basically everyone was dying around you. I always feel a great sense of achievement when I am following a map and I appear to be going in the right direction.
A prong and it says Cutlet Church.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So I found this sign here. I think I'm on the right track now. Lots of these Drystone Walls throughout the Peak District. So it's a limestone outcrop forming an archway high above the valley, and Montpesson, the vicar at that time, would stand here and preach to the congregation on the opposite bank, and families would be able to keep their distance from each other. Obviously these outside services were instead of services inside the church. So after a nice pint in the Miners' Arms, I'm going to walk to where am I walking to? The Boundary Stone. The Boundary Stone is where locals who were obviously quarantined could go out to the Boundary Stone, and food was left on that stone by people outside of the area, so that helped them to survive. Ah, I found a sign. I am on the right path. So residents of Stony Middleton who were not affected by the plague would leave food and medical provisions on this stone, which was the boundary, and in return Eyam residents would put money in these little holes soaked in vinegar, because they believed being soaked in vinegar would sterilise them. just along from the boundary stone towards Stony Middleton, you have this amazing view. I'm just sat here and I can't help thinking of Mrs. Hancock, the Hancock family of Raleigh, and they lived in an isolated part of Eyam, but that poor lady ended up burying, not just seeing them die, but also burying 7 members of her family in 8 days. Can you imagine that? I think from this wonderful vantage point, I'm going to say bye-bye now. I hope I've given you a flavour of Eyam, or Eyam as I keep calling it. Definitely worth coming. There's lots more to see than what I've actually seen. There's a larger walk. There's walks that take a couple of hours, 3 hours even. If you do come, give yourself plenty of time. I'm going to say bye-bye. Thank you for watching Teresa's World. If you enjoyed this, then do hit subscribe. It just means you're following me and it doesn't cost anything. Bye-bye everyone. Teresa's World.